space. Straight talk, expert advice, and live call-ins. Got questions? We've got answers. Tune in and let's build stronger families together. Family Matters, this and every Thursday on Praise 87.9 FM. Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At the Institute for Essential Care, we're here to support, guide, and empower you and your family through every stage of life. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Family Matters is brought to you by the Institute for Essential Care.
Praise 87.9 FM. It's another Thursday morning. It's Family Matters. We have the doctors this morning. Good morning, doctors.
Hey, morning, Dwayne. Morning, Dwayne. It's good to be around again as we come towards the end of, what is this, Love Month?
Love Month.
Love Month, yeah. The month of February.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good if we could transfer it over to next month.
To March, yeah. Yeah, March, by the way, is the best month. Is the best month.
It is?
Or for the rest of the year. So you get to my month. Right?
Yes.
Till you get to your month.
That's right.
Yes, March always try to be like December, but
Yeah.
It's all right. So we continuing. I guess we're wrapping up this week.
Yeah. The idea of, for those of our listeners who may not have joined us at the beginning, we started out looking at family, different types of families. Then we look at choosing the right spouse. That's such a huge topic for so many young people in a world like this that we have, where there are so many fakeness going around. So we looked at how we can choose the right spouse, some of the things that we ought to look for. We started out by examining the positive traits that we look for, and then we moved to red flags, that, some of those dangerous traits you want to pick up early in the relationship. And we started working our way through the red flags, Dr. Lati, and then we decided, I think we had maybe 2 sessions on that, and this morning we want to wrap up this phase of choosing the right person by continuing to look at some of those subtle red flags, and probably may add 1 and 2 amber flags in it as well, because I think for those of us who are in this field dealing with premarital counseling and marriage issues, the big challenge out there I find it more so among the women, is the struggle. How do I find the right spouse? What is it that I look for? Because I've made so many mistakes, some people say, and then how is it that I didn't see these signs when I was dating? Later on in the relationship, a lot of stuff happened, and they're scratching their head. Where did I go wrong? How did I not see these signs? Were these signs there and I overlooked them, or weren't there at all? And so this morning we want to probably look at some of the subtle signs. Dr. Lati, one of your major red flags, what do you think they should be looking for, women?
You mentioned subtle.
Yes.
And I would see subtle as something that is more usually non-physical.
Right.
So we go on emotional now.
Right.
Okay. So the person is suffering emotionally. Their feeling, the feeling is impacted, and may come through words, through gestures, just by how we look at each other. It's emotional, and it comes out verbally. Right? And it impacts the whole person from inside out, right? And that sounds like a vague, What we're talking about using cruel words.
Right. So you're talking about
Right.
emotional abuse. you
Yes,
discussed.
emotionally.
Right.
Cruel words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I will kill you.
Not necessarily that I will kill you, but part of emotional abuse is really verbal abuse. Right?
Yes.
People use very strong negative words, name calling sometimes.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Name calling is strong words that creates personal insults or put down.
Yeah.
Put down is a big one.
Yes, put down
Yes,
the
They are
You're
good,
worthless. You're no good.
Precisely.
You're not gonna come to anything. And sometimes it's because they learned this from childhood too,
Right.
where they've heard it and they believe it, and then we pass it on to
So
them.
you're in a
Yeah.
relationship and people are using words that ridicule you. That's not a good sign.
No.
Sometimes some of the more subtle ones are sarcasms, right? You know, those
Yes.
sarcasms, so those sarcasms can be very painful, and hurtful. And of course, the most obvious ones would be yelling and screaming and threats
Those are.
that create an impact on your emotions. So, yeah.
And giving you the silent treatment is also considered
yes.
verbal emotional abuse. Yes.
Especially if they know it has a serious effect on you.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And
So,
it's a-
so it is very easy that for example, a young person going into a relationship may overlook these because, of course, they say, well, at least he's not beating me, he's not hitting me, or he's not physically forcing me. But these are subtle signs that you may want to look for in terms.
Could I go into this controlling attitude as well?
That's the area.
Could I
we're
go into
going.
yes? So he's not beating me, but he loves me. He tells me that I can't go.
Yes.
He tells me I cannot talk with my other people because he's the only one in or she is the only one in my life, right? So this is gone to controlling, right?
Right.
And power and control as well, and that all of that is fully emotional abuse and preventing me
Yes.
from having a life, controlling me that way.
So control also, sometimes we give the impression that it is the men who tend to control the women, but there are quite a lot of incidences where women are
do
very
control.
much controlling.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
so you're looking at people who want to monitor your whereabouts,
Yes.
monitor your phone calls,
Yes.
controlling your finances and access to resources.
All of that.
All of that fall into
Emotional
control,
abuse and-
dictating who you talk to and who you don't talk to. And may I just say that the whole concept of controlling, and I think this is a little dance that needs to take place here.
Yes.
There's a difference between a person who has been hurt, right, or who has experienced infidelity in the relationship, and there's a lack of trust.
Yes.
That person is more likely to ensure that they double check what you're doing, they look over your shoulder, they monitor your emails, they monitor your phone because of the fear.
Insecurity.
Is there insecurity? That's
right,
right.
because of-
That's right.
Which is a different thing from a person who is just who is just emotionally abusive
Yes.
and using control as a mechanism.
And to make the individual just doubt themselves,
Yes.
and feel that I am not going to make it in truth.
Yes.
But that point you raised, Doc, is very, very vital. And it is something that each individual needs to look out for and understand the differences
Yes.
between the two. And not only that this is a person who caused this kind of lack of trust, but the person could come into the relationship with that experience from
Precisely.
ever since
Precisely.
hearing all these stories, maybe not for them, but vicariously, other people, hearing other people's story, watching it on TV and all of that. And then they develop
Yes.
that feeling that, yes, this is exactly what this person is going to be doing.
Yes.
And that is very dangerous.
Could the control stem from? I know we spoke about something last week or the week before, where you might go into the relationship for security and not necessarily for
Yes.
So the control comes with the power that the person had.
Yes.
Because
That too.
that person brought everything to the table, and so you went in there as just a beneficiary. So you're reaping control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, I think this is why relationships are so complicated.
Yes.
Right? Many times, especially younger persons, will enter into a relationship on the assumption that it is a smooth ride because we love each other, that everything is
Yes.
going to work out. It is not.
Fix that.
It is not so at all. So, for example, if individuals have failed relationships, right, and part of the failure of the past relationship was mistrust,
Yes.
infidelity,
Mhm.
and the person was very hurt coming out of a previous relationship, you can understand why they're going to be very heightened in terms of security in
Yes,
this new
yes,
relationship,
yes.
and therefore are more likely to be concerned about your whereabouts, more likely to be concerned about who you're talking to, more likely to double check, and the other person can perceive this as a means of controlling me, rather than understanding that the person is acting out of fear of mistrust taking place again. And this is where the arguments come into a relationship, the lack of understanding.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is still control.
Yeah.
It is still power
Yes.
over the other person. Okay, the understanding will come or can come later.
Yes.
But very good point you're making, right? That this individual may really begin to move out of this relationship because of what they see, not to understand why, you know? And it is very important then also not to think that it is going to end here. It is something that we must step back from and deal with that. It's not going to become good.
Right.
Don't take it for granted. Oh,
It
he
doesn't
loves
change.
me.
It doesn't change by itself.
It doesn't
No, something it takes work to get that done.
15 minutes after 8 o'clock is right start on a Thursday morning, starting your day with a smile. We're on Family Matters this morning. We take up on a break right now and be back with more. We're looking at the final segment of how to choose the right spouse.
Cayman Academy PTA presents for the first in a long time a teachers concert. See our very own teachers showcase their talents from their culture, fashion show, musical delights as they give us a night of entertainment with fun and laughter. Come on out on Saturday night, March the 1st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Tickets pre-sold, $25 for adults. Children under 18, $10. At the gate, children under 12, just $5. Adults, $30. Get your tickets from your teachers at ABC Bookstore, at the conference office, and Funky Times. Part proceeds in aid of upgrading the school grounds. See you there.
Is your marriage in need of renewal? At the Institute for Essential Care, our Marriage Institute offers spiritual care counseling, marriage and premarital counseling, and guidance for couples preparing to start a family. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At the Institute for Essential Care, we're here to support, guide, and empower you and your family through every stage of life. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Family Matters is brought to you by the Institute for Essential Care.
17 minutes after 8 o'clock, it's right start on a Thursday morning, starting your day with a smile. We're on the final chapter of how to choose the right spouse. Remember, our numbers to call are 945-9029. That's 945-9029. Or you can send me a WhatsApp at 517-1122. I almost forget my number. Probably it's because I don't call it.
Senior age, senior moment.
Senior moment. All right. So we were on a very interesting segment there. Control.
Yes.
But is control a bad thing, or is it something that's, I call it devilish?
It is more than a bad thing.
That's you know something. I remember last, probably in COVID, Kate and I were talking about something, and she said, Dwayne, tell me something. Why was Lucifer kicked out of heaven? Was it because he was wearing gold and all those stuff? And I said, no. She said, it's because he wanted control.
Okay, yeah.
And then she said she realized that control is one of the most devilish.
That's
money.
That's a sermon there. That's a sermon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is to the extent,
Yes.
right? To the extent that for him to get control,
Yes.
he would have to take that from God.
Yes.
That God did not give him control.
Yes.
In a marriage situation, right? In a relationship situation, control has to be managed,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because what we prefer to discuss is responsibility
Yes.
rather than control, all right?
Yes.
And so even when the Bible puts the man as the head of the family, it's not a dictator or dictatorial position. No, it's a position of responsibility, that you are responsible for the family.
Yes.
And so you relate to the family in love. Control usually, when we speak of it in this negative sense, is to benefit the person. So I am controlling you to benefit
me.
Precisely.
Yes.
Right? I'm controlling you to benefit
For me to feel safe.
For me to feel safe, precisely. So that is never a healthy situation, right?
Right.
Because one of the things we have to take in consideration is that when it comes to marriage, and I like to emphasize this, marriage is a voluntary, right? It's a voluntary decision.
Yes.
A voluntary commitment made by two consenting adults, right? A male and a female, right? It's and the key word there is voluntary.
Yes.
So once we are married, right? We're not giving ourselves to the other person to control us. No, we have a mutually understanding relationship that we are here together. We're caring for each other, and so if I go somewhere, right, and I may say to my wife, "Hey, I'll be late this evening because I am at X place." I'm saying that out of courtesy and respect because we are partners together. Are we together? Or if she's going somewhere or she's doing something and she lets me know, it is motivated by our mutual respect from each other, rather than it is demanded.
And commitment.
And precisely. And so it is so important that we understand how we navigate the relationship to ensure that there's mutual respect, right?
Yes.
Rather than a matter of domination and control. Because domination and control does not work in a relationship.
Yes.
Let me just ask a question. I know most time when persons hear control, they will also want to see that in an environment of aggression.
Yes.
But you have subtle, soft control that's equally deadly.
I'll speak to that. I'll speak to that in a minute. Dwayne, let me speak to that. Part of the emotional abuse,
Yes.
right, is isolation. And this is a strategy where people isolate the other person from their friends, from their family
that's a-
member, right? If you're talking to your family member,
Who are you speaking to?
yeah. They come and find who are you talking to. They have a problem if you make contact with family member. They have a problem if you make contact with certain friends. They tend to isolate you. That's also part of the emotional abuse, right?
It is big part
It's
of
a huge
emotion.
part of emotional abuse. And sometimes people do not see it as an emotional abuse. But it also leads to physical abuse.
Yes.
It's a precursor for physical abuse.
That's correct.
So most what we call intimate partner violence, what we formerly known as domestic violence, right? Most time when you end up in a intimate partner violence situation, it doesn't start with the hitting and the violence. No, there are precursors to that, and one of those precursors is the isolation
Yes.
of individuals. And then once you're isolated, then it is easy for the physical violence to come because now there's nobody knowing about it, right?
Yes, yes. And this is such a powerful topic you have
Yes.
touched on. And I think every individual needs to be hearing this,
Yes.
that they understand that it is not love.
Right.
It is not. There are strands of it in there, but this is saying, I own you. You are no longer an individual.
Yeah.
I own you.
Right.
Every move you make, they will decide. Very shopping, where you're going.
Yeah.
They own your phone.
Yeah.
They command you to give the codes, whatever. It is across the board. We need to look at it, and we need to look at it from not just from a marital emotional abuse point of view, but we have it in just a relational emotional abuse and children emotional abuse. So it didn't just start in the relationship. It started long ago when we trained, some of our children are trained that way. So they must be in control. And they begin to control their parents. And they come over and control. And they believe that they must have full control, which would include where you go, what you say, who you say it to, and all of that. And that is dangerous ground. Very dangerous.
So control would be actually taking away someone's right.
Privileges and
Yes.
rights.
And privileges.
Yes.
Yes.
And so persons who have this attitude will end up even raping people.
Yeah, because
Why not?
you feel that you own the
But
other
it is
person.
raping, yeah?
Yeah.
You feel like you own the other person, which is here again. If you're just joining us on Family Matters this morning, we're discussing this very important subject of emotional abuse and how you spot that in a relationship early before you say I do.
Yes.
And part of that emotional abuse is the whole matter of control, which is for some people it is subtle and they are not able to pick it up. Yeah. But it's a very, very serious, potentially serious course of behavior in a relationship that you want to be very sensitized to. So
Yes.
if you're dating someone and you begin to feel that the person is, you're answerable to the person, right? An uncomfortable feeling, you don't feel free, you don't feel relaxed, you don't feel comfortable, you feel you have to give an account all the
Walk on
time.
eggshells.
Yeah, then you're feeling maybe right, right? And you want to take a pause there and
Yes.
and examine this, because this is not that is not supposed to be. Right.
So if you find that you're experiencing some level of fear,
Right.
And happiness.
fear, I better say this, or I don't want to say this because I don't want to upset or I'm careful how I say this. But do you find that it's also possible that especially into intercultural relationships where different persons communicate differently, or they have different, like in Jamaica where I grew up, if somebody look at a young girl and say, boy, you're getting fat, it's a compliment
Mm.
in that part of the country.
Mm.
And if you say that in some places, it's just
an
an
insult.
insult.
Mm.
Yes,
Right,
it depends on which parish you say it in.
Depends on which parish, right?
Yes.
Likewise, in intercultural relationships, the things that might offend the other partner might just be really casual, and if they're not sensitive, one now will start to
Yes.
develop this fear of how to speak with them because they don't want to offend.
That's right.
Yes, and I would have listed as a amber flag
Yes.
somebody from a different culture. And
Yes.
an amber flag meaning proceed with caution. Because there's if you begin to date somebody from a different culture, and
You have to learn.
there's another level of challenges
yes.
that you have to overcome, right?
Yes, yes.
Because there's so much to learn
Yes.
and understand in order to achieve mutual happiness.
Mhm.
Because the simplest of things can create problem because you don't understand each other.
Doc, I don't want you to leave that point. It's such a powerful point. And we may misinterpret
Yes.
the reactions we're getting if we do not study the culture.
Yeah.
Some cultures, the way you look at each other is a problem. You have to know how.
Yeah.
The way you speak, how you honor the male or the female, right? There's some cultures, there's
Perception of roles in the family.
And
is
roles,
very rigid
yes.
in some cultures. All right.
yes, who handles the money?
This
Yes,
one.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So it affects just about culture affects just about
Everyone.
everything
Yes,
right,
yes.
in your life, and that is why if you are dating somebody from a completely different culture, right, you really need to go. I normally send my couple to go home to that particular person's house. Family, home, country, wherever it is, spend a couple of days, weeks, and learn about their culture,
Yes.
so that you understand why they do the things they do, why they believe the
they
things
do
they
it,
believe.
yeah.
Yes.
That will give you a better understanding and mutual love among you.
So
Powerful points.
intercultural relationships courting should take longer.
Yes,
No, it takes longer.
it will take a little. It ought to take a little
Yes.
longer because there's more stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
And you need to study.
Yeah,
Understand
more
it.
stuff
Yes.
to learn. More stuff
Over
to-
time.
So that's one of the amber flags that
Yes.
I would have raised. That
Yes.
saying, if you're dating somebody from a different culture, and some cultures are close, you know,
Yes.
other cultures are diametrically opposed in
Yes.
some of the areas that we find to be significant. That's one area. Another area of red flag, not red flag. I would call this an amber flag. Is people, and this is a very touchy subject, but people who are already married, meaning if a person has already one failed marriage, you are dating that person, you proceed with caution. And why? Because you also have some stuff to study. You
Yes.
need you
Yeah.
need to know why
Why it
that
failed.
relationship
That's right,
failed in the
failed.
first place. And as you know, the statistics is very strong on this. The more often we marry, is the more likely we will
We will divorce
Yes.
again.
We call it higher order marriages, right?
Yes.
And so there's a reason behind that, right? So if a person has a string of failed marriages or failed relationships, right?
Caution.
Then you are dating that person, you really have a lot of homework to do to say, okay, I need to know why that marriage failed, what went wrong,
Yes.
and why couldn't it be corrected? Because very likely, if a person has 2 or 3 failed marriages, that person is a common denominator in these marriages. All right. I've always said, if a person has 2 or 3 marriages, right, that person is a common denominator.
Yeah.
True? Yeah. So if you say, the spouse number 1 was bad, spouse number 2 was bad,
Bad.
spouse number 3 was bad. Okay,
So how bad
I'll
was
grant
it?
that to you. But then I want to find out why you have a tendency to choose
Bad
spouses.
Yes.
All right?
Attracted
And
to
if that
those.
is so, then maybe I am the next bad spouse you're choosing. Maybe I'm not good for you because you have a
Yes.
tendency to choose bad spouses.
And if all three spouses died,
Yeah. Right. So you understand why it is not okay to rush into a marriage when you're dealing with individuals who have had previous marriages before.
That's right.
It is good for you to take the time out and examine exactly what happens. Another reason behind this, Dr. Lati, is that sometimes some of the past hurts
Yes.
from the previous marriages, right, come
Unresolved.
over. Right, unresolved issue. We call them in local language the baggages, right? In clinical terms, unresolved issues, right, from past relationships come over into these previous relationships and really create a problem there. And so it is so important that we proceed with caution. Not saying you can't date. No. These are very nice people to be with, good people to be with, but you got to do your homework so
Yes.
that your marriage doesn't end up in the same way.
That's a big point.
is there an amber flag? Is there an amber flag where this person was married for 35, 40 years, was married to his high school girlfriend, so they were close all this time. She died or he died. Is there an amber flag for a new person now becoming the spouse of the one that's remaining?
Yeah, and the concern would be
the remaining
They're alive.
spouse,
They're alive.
the one who is alive,
Yes.
would be at this time suffering grief.
Yes.
And the person who is coming on, it would be a kind of rebound situation if the person is just lost the spouse and this new person is just coming on board. Unless that person was on board before. And I can understand the speed with which they get together. But there are so many things for this person coming on to understand what pertained in that relationship. Was it that person with that spouse, were they in love with each other?
Yes, they were from
They
high
were
school.
in love
Yes.
with each other.
Yes.
Yes, but what was the composition of that? And can this individual go in and fit in? Because this person coming in should expect to be compared and to be seen in
So
the eye of the other
that's
person.
why I'm seeing it as an amber flag.
Amber,
It
yes.
is. It is to an extent.
Even the very name may be called, not the name of the person. It's
Yeah. It is. There's some very important points to be made there, because if they have been friends from high school,
Yes.
right, and they have lived most of their adult life, 35 years together, this
Yeah.
is the only spouse that you have.
Oh my.
And then one dies and a new spouse comes in.
They have a reference point.
Yes, and there has to be an understanding, right? And the new spouse coming in need to understand what
Yes.
he or she is coming into,
Mm-hmm.
because it is not going to be easy for the remaining spouse to just dismiss 35 years
No.
of living with a former spouse. So what is likely to happen, as Dr. Lati was mentioning, is a tendency to compare. And that comparison can be dangerous to the new relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's positive comparison, right? Particularly for women, right? Particularly women.
I want this done this way. I'm not used to
The way we
tasting this
cook,
way.
The way we will make the bed.
Yes.
The way we
Speak.
make love, the way
Yeah.
we speak,
Everything.
everything. There's a potential comparison, and it can be problematic in the
Yes.
relationship.
You don't love me.
Right. So
She's dead.
I normally would encourage folks to avoid comparison at all costs.
Yes.
Even when you think it's positive, no, still avoid it, because you may do a positive one, but the person may say, okay, what other areas are you comparing and you're not saying in your
Yeah.
mind?
Right, right,
And
right.
also
And-
again, even if you're from the same culture.
Yes.
Within cultures, there are different cultures.
Yes.
Interculture.
Subcultures.
Subcultures, and then you might be able to you might just say something that didn't
That's
come
right. That's
across right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's serious. So we just need to be careful, people are people, but we are individuals first, and I think this must be discussed. That same point we're
Yes,
on.
yes.
This must be discussed from the get-go,
Yeah.
and it must be understood that there is no way the gentleman, if this is the gentleman who is alive, he does not have amnesia. He is going to remember, and if especially the fond memories, he's going to remember it, and he should be given that opportunity to grieve properly. And to grieve means it's okay to look back at some of the good days and the wonderful experiences. You don't just forget it like that. And so the person coming on needs to understand that and help in the process as well.
As you mentioned, grief. So key, therefore, all right, is that this person should be able to grieve his loss or her loss before they jump into another relationship.
That's the point.
And you're right.
That's the point.
Very, very important.
Yes.
That you don't use the second relationship as a crutch stick to keep you up.
Danger.
But very, very good point. If you're just joining us, we're working through some of the issues as it relates to choosing a safe partner.
Yes.
For those of you who may be listening, and we're looking at some of the red flags and the amber flags that can creep slowly in the relationship, and we perhaps overlook them, and they turn up down the road and create a lot of problems for us. We talk about emotional abuse. We talk about isolation and control.
Blame games.
And maybe we have to ensure physical abuse. Big problem. The whole matter of physical abuse. There are so many times in the marriage or in the relationship, it turns up, and people and folks will say, "I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this in this person. We dated for so long, and I didn't see this. I didn't see anything like that about this particular person, whether it's the male or the female." And the question is, how do we identify the precursors to domestic violence? Dr. Lottie, from a woman's perspective.
Yes, I'm going back to something we said, I think we said it last week or something like that, that the flags, the amber and the red flags we just mentioned are precursors. For example, the same control, the same power over the person, the same thing as finding out where the person, isolation, all of these are red flags, especially when the individual wants to isolate you, cut you off from your family members, cut you off from your friends. You can't talk to anybody, you can't go any place. That's the biggest one I know. Then there's a slap.
Yeah.
And it's a pinch, a little pinch, and so we're playing.
Yes.
It's a game, and or that kind of aggression, that look that comes on, that may lead, that you see it coming.
It drives fear into you.
Driving fear into the individual, or there's a word I'm trying to find. Sorry. So it drives fear, and there is. Give me the word. Give me the word. Intimidation.
Yes.
Intimidation is a word. So you are intimidated. That's why you start walking on eggshells.
So they use things like threats, right?
Threats.
They may not hit you, but they
tell
they
you
will hit the wall. For example.
Yes.
There's something very interesting that we probably need to discuss.
Destroy your stuff.
And I'm reading there are people on our YouTube channel who are commenting, and one person said that she's sorry this program wasn't on the radio 7 months ago before I got married.
Oh wow.
All right. If you're in a relationship where you're experiencing this, obviously you can go to the Institute for Essential Care.
Yes.
And we're going to give the numbers shortly. Yes. But what do you do if you didn't know this, but you come up on this kind of situation? How do you navigate? How do you manage it?
I think the first thing you need to do is to become aware. Become aware first that something is off.
Yeah. So now you're aware.
Yes, and we move. And once you get that, we need to detach yourself from that encumberment and that situation that is going to keep you down. Seek help. Go out. Find a friend. You may have to hide it to do it initially, but go get some support. And support is available. Go get back to your family member, the ones that you were told not to go to. Go get back to them. Yes,
share it with somebody.
Right. Yeah. Talk about it with somebody. Yeah,
it is.
Don't stay down.
Yeah, it is very important. If the relationship deteriorates to the point where communication is no longer taking place, right? Then it is critical that we seek immediate help. Outside of, if you put away the idea of getting help, and you're still within the relationship and communication is still possible, then it is important that we sit down and have a talk to say, hey, I am not comfortable with this pattern of behavior. This is what he's doing to me. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
And we have that. Notice I didn't say an argument.
Yes.
All right, or a verbal fight, but a quiet talk to say, this is what is happening to me. This is how it's affecting me. And we talk about it. However, most times these things, one of the first casualties in these relationships is communication.
That's
right?
true.
Then sex. Okay. Right? These are casualties, right? So when communication is down, then everything comes to an end because there's nothing that can be done when communication
Stonewalling is worse.
Stonewalling is critical. So if you're in this situation and you cannot reach the other person or you cannot communicate to the other person, then definitely your only option is to get help and to get help fast.
Yes, very fast.
And I would go a little further than saying most times couples wait too long to get help. Sometimes, it's like this various stages of cancer, right? You have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Everybody knows that the quicker you catch the cancer, then it's better you're able to control it and to treat it, and sometimes cure.
If you have it,
and
right. you know you have it, but you keep it a secret, and you're slowly being depressed.
That's a problem.
You're actually
that's a problem.
allowing it to go.
So one of the advice I would give to couples out there is if you are experiencing discomfort in the relationship, if you see problems in the relationship, if you're no longer happy, if there's anything that is undermining the happiness, and you try and talk about it, and communication between both of you is not working, then that's the next step. The next step is to get help, right?
Yes.
And don't wait until it reaches such a deteriorated state that it requires a miracle to bring that.
Yes.
So you would suggest that the first thing to do is communicate.
Yes.
Talk
About it.
Just before you go any further, this is something we might have overlooked, and maybe this is the reason why men who are abused just keep it quiet. It is not the easiest thing for a person who is abused to get up and get help.
Because they come with depression.
Yeah.
With that and fear.
And
the whole idea is, he loves me. Oh, what will I do? How will I take care of the kids? How will I move forward when they are dependent? And that is something that is important for individuals to know, that they first need to be independent individuals with resources and means that they can manage, so that they don't have to be now staying under it because they have no other recourse. So it's not easy. With the shame, the embarrassment, the whole thing they call love. He loves me or she loves me. There's no way I could move out of this. And so it continues like that. And so it's not the easiest thing.
I find that it's not he loves me or she loves me is the thing that keeps people a lot in these relationships. Is because they themselves love the person, and they can't.
That's a very good point.
They can't let go because they have invested so much.
So much.
This is who they really love, and despite all that's happening, they wish they could unlove the person.
That is a very, very good point. And this is particularly from the women's perspective,
Yes.
right? Who are much more emotional than men.
Yes.
That they will remain in it because of the love they have for the person. And I would suggest to them, it is that love is what's supposed to drive you to seek the necessary help, right? In such a situation like that, because it's not going to get better by itself. It will self-destruct, if you do not seek external help. One of the things that Dwayne, we probably want to look at is how does these emotional abuse affect the person, the individuals, the victim, so to speak. And one of the reasons why we suggest that it is dealt with, because emotional abuse leads to things like low self-esteem, low self-worth. There's somebody used to be happy and confident, and all of a sudden they begin to feel very worthless, don't want to go out in public, feeling helpless and hopeless, having fears, having anxiety and depression, panic attack, difficulty concentrating. All these are symptoms, right? Difficulty making decision, not confident of yourself to make decision anymore, not feeling good when you put on your dress or put on your clothes. These are some serious signs that the relationship is taking an impact on you. All right? And then there are some behavioral changes that come as well. People get socially withdrawn. They used to be out socializing. Now they don't want to go out with their friends anymore. They don't want to go to church. They don't want to be out. There may be changes in your eating. You may be eating too much or eating too less. These are difficulty maintaining relationships with others. So these are serious psychological impact on the individuals who are going through emotional abuse, and that's why you really have to take it seriously.
And which one I would love you to talk about is the self-doubt.
Yeah.
Because the person has been hearing so many negative things about themselves that they believe it, and they doubt themselves. So the self-esteem, their self-worth, goes right down, and they don't think they're anybody anymore because they're taught it, they're told it by the person they say they love, and they believe what they say, and they live it.
Is this an amber flag? We spoke about intercultural.
Yes.
Say I went to China or Philippines or Peru, one of those places, Africa, and found a wife, a spouse, and brought her back to my home country where there's nobody else from that culture around there. So now they live in this new environment. Is that a red flag or amber flag?
Yeah, that can that can be an amber flag. Watch where I'm going with this. That would be an amber flag. Here's a challenge with that.
Yes.
If you let's use you as an example, dear Dwayne. So you went to the Philippines or to China, as you said, and you find a woman, marries her, and bring her back to the Cayman Islands.
Yes.
Okay. Who's more likely to suffer in this relationship? You or the person coming from China? The person from China, right? Because the person is completely out of her environment.
Yes.
She out of her circle of friends. She out of her family. She out of her culture. She just about everything. Now, she may be happy to come with you, right? On a honeymoon, okay? but believe me when I say nobody lives on the moon, right? So the honeymoon period, maybe when she comes for the first couple of weeks or maybe months, it is exciting. It's a new place, new environment. She comes and set up her house, and everything is going well. She whistles in the morning, all right? All right? And everything is going well. But after a while, right? then the reality will set in.
Because there are other persons around you as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. The reality will set in that she does not have a support system outside of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? And particularly if it is a woman, right?
Yes.
Particularly if it's a woman who that support system is so crucial for women.
Yes.
The socialization is so critical for women. Then it becomes a challenge for her. So you really you have to be extremely good on your P's and Q's to keep her happy, right?
Yes.
Yes, because there's so much.
Depending on your motive.
Exactly, because there's so much that would make her sad, right?
Yes.
So that could be a challenge for her, and I would think she would need to know what to expect. That
Yes.
after a while, the euphoria will blow away, the reality will set in. You have to make new friends. You have to make new connections, new
Yes.
job, new social, new school. I don't know, networking.
Yeah.
I would advise, right? I would advise that to have that relationship remaining happy, that frequent trips be taken back to
Yes.
China, right?
Yes.
So she can keep in connection.
Both of you.
Both ways, be in connection with the
And
family.
keep connection.
Yes.
Find persons who are from the same location. It's
Yes.
okay. You know, get to a group that really has other persons like you. And that's a good way to say you're integrating the person, depending on your motive again.
Right.
Let me just say thanks to all of. Okay, there's a question.
Yes.
But let me just say thanks to all of those who have joined us on our YouTube channel. There's a question. What are some of the telltale signs of What are some of the telltale signs of codependencies that persons should look out for before marriage?
Okay.
Wow, that's a good question. And codependency is usually a very, very crucial matter that people need to look out for, because it is you depending on the person to feed you with what it is that they want and you want. So usually the codependent person is going to see that there's a challenge, but they still go along with it, right? And they are depending on this individual to change as well as to make them happy. But this individual does not allow them to be happy. So we need to be noting that this is kind of one-sided relationship. It is an unhealthy relationship. It is not reciprocating. So this individual may not want you to be happy. Once you bring up something that is happy, they snuff that out. Watch out for that. If you have an idea, but your idea does not add up to anything, it doesn't make sense to them, they never listen to you. They give you the cold treatment. And yet, at the same time, you, the person, sees it and feels it and never backs off to notice it. But you keep pouring yourself in this relationship.
In other words,
it makes sense that you become aware that this is something that's wrong. That is a codependent kind of behavior.
Yeah. One of the, in other
Among
words,
many others.
one of the clear sign that you can look out for is when you think that you are giving too much.
And you feel it.
All right? When you realize, no, I am giving too much, but I'm not getting back commensurate that I'm giving. It may be, that's a sign that you actually are depending. You invest so much in this person.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the cost, to your own personal cost.
Detriment.
Your own personal detriment.
Yes.
And you can pick that up very easily. You know, sometimes some people are so in love that they don't even see that, right?
That's where they call it love is blind.
That's
a phase.
yes.
That's a blind
you're
phase.
giving. They feel in love and they give. But that's fine, and they enjoy giving because by giving it is fulfilling.
Yes.
But then there comes a time when you must say, "Hang on, but I'm not getting back." Right?
But this person needs treatment.
Exactly.
This person needs treatment because it is. They see it sometimes.
Yeah.
They complain about it,
Yeah.
but they are not pulling back. It's similarly in the household chores.
Yes.
They will be the slave, and the others sit and look, and they will work and they complain.
Yeah.
Imagine I have to be doing this. I'm the only one, but yet guess what? they keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous. So we need to become aware. It's not the easiest thing to do. Get treatment for that. When you're pouring yourself out all the time and
you don't
never
see-
reciprocated, and yet you're hurting, yet you're staying.
Yes.
That is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's codependency.
We're 3 minutes out.
That's it?
Yes, we're 3 minutes in to the end of our program. And this seems to be a very interesting topic to our listeners. It looks like there's no end.
It has no end.
Let me just again say good morning and thank you for all of our listeners, our viewers on YouTube, and our listeners on Praise 87.9 FM, and our viewers on CICMEDIAKY and our radio station online. We also have a good support system online, because I see where persons are offering, to keep others in prayer based on their practical situations. And I really commend that.
Yes.
Our YouTube channel is CICMEDIAKY, right? And you can go back there to see our previous programs. If this is your first time, you could go back to see the archive of all the family matters that took place in the month of February. The Institute for Essential Care bring this program to you, and they have clinicians who deal with all of these aspects. Just tell us a little bit about that before we cut off.
Yeah, so any matters relating to family, relationships, parenting, grief, divorce. This is another area. Maybe one morning we will look at that.
Yeah.
Because I found it necessary to provide this service for individuals who have fully decided that they need to be out of the marriage, because there are some marriages that divorce may be their answer.
Yes.
When they look at it and realize that if I stay in this marriage, I may very well be dead. And so when they examine all the situation and they decide that they need to get out. But they need that kind of guidance and counsel. So we will provide that kind of support and counseling, because when people are going, let's say, choosing to divorce, some people do it out of anger and frustration, and you're likely to make the wrong decision. So you really want to process that a little. Cross all your T's and dots all your I's. And sometimes even the process, they realize, okay, divorce is not what I really wanted. And this is what we hope for, that they will see another way out. So we do provide that kind of assistance at the Institute for Essential Care. Parenting challenges, that's another big, huge topic that we will be covering here down the road. Especially parenting these modern children, and particularly for me, parenting boys. That's a subject all by itself. Right?
Yeah.
So you can look out for that one, parenting boys.
I thought that boys were made of sugar and spice.
Oh,
and
man. Yeah. So anything family related, we're more than happy to assist you with that. And of course, we not just do family at the Institute for Essential Care. We do most mental health issues, mood disorder, personality disorders, psychotic disorders. We are very much able to assist in that regard. So if you're experiencing any kind of depression, anxiety, if you are struggling with any kind of mood disorders or personality disorders or trauma, feel free to see us. Whether you are children, we do have educational psychologists that assist us working with children, specialize in the peer program, in behavioral modification. We're happy to provide that kind of services. And psychological assessments. On the other end of the spectrum, the more senior people dealing with dementia. We also do have a psychologist who assists in that area. So feel free to drop by or call us at 325-7556, or you can reach us at therapy@caymanessentialcare.com, or you can find us online, caymanessentialcare.com. That's caymanessentialcare.com. Make your appointment. We'll be happy to see you.
I think there are so many marriages that are having struggles, and if you listen to the family life programs, especially overseas, every so often they have these workshops
Yes.
because marriages have problems.
Yes.
Yes.
And
That's right.
even though you would not have seen, even if the spouse didn't show any of these, display any of these traits before marriage, there's one enemy to marriage, and it's the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And that's a red flag.
Yep.
that will come in some point and will make you think that you got married to the wrong person.
Yep.
Yes.
How to spot the devil in
Yeah.
marriage. That's a good ceremony.
How to spot the devil.
How to spot the devil in your marriage.
How to spot the devil.
Yes. And things change. Things
They do.
change.
They
Things
do.
change. Persons, depending on sometimes you have biological changes that can affect your
There are
relationship.
biological changes, there are environmental
Psychological
changes, there are psychological
changes.
changes, there are financial changes. There
Yes.
are so many different
Oh.
changes that will impact your
Yes,
marriage.
yes,
So when you start out, lovey-dovey at 21, right, and think you're going to be happy ever after, by the time you reach 50, it's a whole lot of changes.
It
that
can
come
happen.
in.
It can
I'm
happen at
so-
32.
Yep, even
Yes.
30, right.
And I'm so sorry we're not able to touch on the whole aspect of power and control that relates to our finances.
Yeah.
How we manage those finances and who
We
owns,
we
who
probably
does that.
we will have another subject, another program specifically
Wow.
designed for family finances. Yes,
Yes.
family finances.
Who manages?
All right. Thank you so much for coming this morning, guys. It was a pleasure having you.
It's our pleasure too.
Family Matters is one of those needed programs, as the listener said. She wish she knew this 7 months ago.
Wow.
She wished this program was on the radio 7 months ago. So, blame it on Dr. Connor.
It could have been, right?
Yeah.
It should
Yeah,
have been.
it should have
Should
been.
have
Should
been.
have been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
should have been.
yeah.
Coming up right after is going to be another family life program focused on the family, and this time their topic is going to be healing my marriage after eating disorder.
Eating this one. Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's interesting.
All right, this has brought us to the end of Right Start for this morning. Be sure to join us again tomorrow as we do it all over. Remember, this Saturday night comes our Teachers Spotlight concert at the Teachers Talent Expo and concert at Cayman Academy School Grounds.
Okay.
Get your tickets there. They're only $25 for one, for adults, $10 for children. I think it's 30 at the gate. I have 2 tickets. I'll give them away tomorrow morning, so we could give them. All right. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank
Thank you. See you
Thank
next
you.
Thursday.
See you next.
Is your marriage in need of renewal? At the Institute for Essential Care, our Marriage Institute offers spiritual care counseling, marriage and premarital counseling, and guidance for couples preparing to start a family. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Are you looking for real talk on love, marriage, parenting, and relationships? Join us every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. for Family Matters, a brand new show on Praise 87.9 FM. Hosted by Dwayne Uter, alongside Dr. Cheyenne O'Connor, a licensed clinical psychologist and relationship expert. We'll tackle the real issues that families face. Straight talk, expert advice, and live call-ins. Got questions? We've got answers. Tune in and let's build stronger families together. Family Matters, this and every Thursday on Praise 87.9 FM.